Jeffrey Epstein is back in the headlines in a major way. We're talking about a leaked deposition, a hot mic moment you have to hear, and a brand new criminal investigation that just got reopened. But maybe the craziest news of today is Trump wanting to release a whole new set of classified files that everyone in America wants to see. Let's get into it. So the House Oversight Committee just dropped the video from its deposition of Les Wexner. And if you don't know who that is, he's the billionaire who built Victoria's Secret, Bath & Body Works, and Abercrombie & Fitch. He's also one of the first major figures that Jeffrey Epstein worked for as a financial advisor. Now, Epstein, before his death, reportedly held power of attorney over Wexner's fortune. Now, during this nearly 5-hour deposition, 88-year-old Wexner kept giving these incredibly long, rambling answers. He's going on and on about how he was deceived and how he never saw it coming. And there is a crazy moment from this deposition that I want to get into. But before that, you need context. So watch this.
I think I'm giving you a long answer, but to understand in context. Because if I just say yes or no, you won't understand it. And I really want this whole group to understand it. And I never would have guessed I was being conned. Never, ever. The deceit was so subtle. Yes, I know.
Answer the question.
Yeah, okay.
I'm sure we all appreciate the stories. We're just trying to answer the questions they actually want to.
So his lawyer jumps in and tells Wexner to just answer the question. The committee attorneys are trying to keep things moving, and Wexner keeps going off on these long tangents. And at one point, he launches into this whole story about inventorying silverware and counting forks and spoons. Watch this.
Gee, that's a good idea. We ought to have an inventory. But then there was I hired a lady to be like the house manager who had run the U.S. Embassy in Rome, and she said, yeah, I know how to do this. And I said, well, why don't we keep inventories of stuff? And she said, well, yeah, I could do that. So she did that. That's kind of a puny example, but I wouldn't have had the idea. But then all the things were inventoried. That wasn't work for me or Jeffrey. It was just regularly done.
And that's when the moment happens. Wexner's own attorney leans over and whispers this.
Answer the question. 5 words, okay? Answer the question.
Okay.
Now, to be clear, both Wexner and the attorney laughed right after. It was obviously a joke, but still, that is absolutely wild to hear in an official congressional deposition. As for the actual substance, Wexner maintained throughout the entire testimony that his relationship with Epstein was strictly business. He told the committee he never went to lunch, dinner, a movie, or even had a cup of coffee with Jeffrey Epstein. He said he cut ties with him back in 2007 after finding out about an investigation and discovering that Epstein had been stealing money from him, allegedly, and his family. And the committee also asked him about a birthday card he once wrote to Epstein where he drew a pair of breasts with a caption that read, "Dear Jeffrey, I wanted to get you what you want, so here it is." Wexner's response? He said Epstein was a bachelor and it was just an offhand joke. Make of that what you will. On top of that, the state of New Mexico just announced it is reopening its criminal investigation into Jeffrey Epstein's former property known as Zorro Ranch. Now, for those of you who don't know, Epstein bought this massive ranch south of Santa Fe back in 1993. It had a hilltop mansion, a private airship, a hangar, and a helipad. And state prosecutors had actually started looking into allegations of illegal activity at the ranch years ago, but according to CBS, that investigation was shut down in 2019 at the request of federal prosecutors in New York. Well, now, New Mexico Attorney General Raul Torres says his office reviewed the recently released Epstein files from the DOJ and determined that what's in those sealed FBI documents warrants a second look. His office says they are seeking immediate access to the complete, unredacted federal case file. And here is where it gets really dark. According to Reuters, investigators are now looking into an unverified claim from a 2019 email found in the Epstein files that alleges the bodies of 2 foreign girls may be buried somewhere outside the property. Now, we covered this story briefly a couple of weeks ago, but for those of you who don't know, there's an FBI report in the Epstein files which details an email sent from an anonymous sender to a man named Eddie Aragon, who apparently conducts his own research into the Epstein files. Now, the email reads, "Edward, this is sensitive, so it will be the first and last email depending on your discretion. You can choose to take it or trash it, but this comes from a person that has been there and seen it all as a former staff at the Zorro. The material below was taken from Jeffrey Epstein home as my insurance in case of future litigation against Epstein. Sorry, no questions. What is damning about Jeffrey Epstein is yet to be written. Did you know somewhere in the hills outside the Zorro, 2 foreign girls were buried on orders of Jeffrey and Madam G. Both died by strangulation during rough fetish sex." A New Mexico state representative told CBS News that knowing someone reported possible bodies on that land is horrifying and must be brought to justice immediately. The state has also launched a bipartisan truth commission made up of state lawmakers to dig into what may or may not have happened at that ranch. They want to know why Epstein was never registered as a sex offender in New Mexico after his 2008 guilty plea, and whether any public officials were involved in protecting him. Now, according to reports, the ranch was eventually sold by Epstein's estate in 2023 to the family of a Texas Republican named Don Huffins, who renamed it and says they plan to run a Christian retreat on the property. A spokesperson for the family says law enforcement has never asked for access, but if they do, full cooperation will be given. Okay, now let's get into our last story, because this is crazy. The Trump administration has promised a lot of things when it comes to releasing files, so we're taking this one with a grain of salt, but the alien files might be coming. Now, you may know last week, Barack Obama went on a podcast and during a lightning round of questions said aliens are real. He later walked it back on Instagram, clarifying he was just talking about the statistical likelihood of life existing somewhere in the universe and that he saw no actual evidence of extraterrestrial contact during his presidency. But Trump was not letting it go. Watch this.
Something that got a lot of attention this week. Barack Obama said that aliens are real. Have you seen any evidence of non-human visitors to Earth?
Well, he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that. You know.
So aliens are real.
Well, I don't know if they're real or not. I can tell you he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that.
What was
He made
classified?
a big mistake. He took it.
Then a reporter points out that, as president, Trump could just declassify whatever he wants.
I don't have an opinion on it. I never talk about it. A lot of people do. A lot of people believe it. Do you believe it, Peter?
Well, if the president can declassify anything that he wants to, so
Well,
if you
maybe I'll
want to
get him
make
out
an
of trouble.
announcement.
I may get him out of trouble by declassifying.
So, just a few hours after that exchange, Trump posted on Truth Social that based on the tremendous interest shown, he's directing U.S. agencies, including the Department of Defense, to begin identifying and releasing government files on aliens, UFOs, unidentified aerial phenomena, and more. Now, for context, the Pentagon put out a report in 2024 saying there's no evidence the government has ever encountered alien life, and the House held a hearing on UAPs in 2023 that didn't really produce any bombshells. But a sitting president ordering the release of these files is still a pretty big deal. We'll see what comes out of it. We'll keep you updated as information comes in. As always, I'm Jakson Buhaj, and I will see you in the next one.